Welcome to Redefining Balance for Working Moms podcast, where we believe life balance is possible. Yes, even for you. You might just have to redefine what it looks like for yourself. I'm your host, fellow working mom, and founder of Your Life Rocks, Jenny Stemmerman. Each week, I'll bring you practical, real-life tips to help you focus on the things that matter most in life and be the best version of yourself in every area that God has called you to. Ready to redefine what balance looks like for you in your life? Let's go. Hey there, I am so glad that you're here to hang out with me today. Can you believe we're on week 5 of our summer refresh? Now, this is a 7-week series, so after today, there's just 2 more weeks. And I have to say, I hope that you have enjoyed this summer refresh just as much as I have enjoyed doing it for you. And I've enjoyed doing the exercises myself as well. I mean, like I say, I am a fellow working mom right there with you. And doing these weekly exercises have really helped me. And I think the coolest thing about it is seeing in our community, everyone sharing what it is that they're getting out of this refresh, because we're all in different places in life. We have different kids at different stages. We do different things in our careers. And life is just, a little bit different. The things that God is speaking to us is very different. But it's interesting to see how even though we all are doing the same exercises, we are getting so much out of it that's personalized exactly to where we are. And I love seeing that God can use things like this series in those kind of ways, just to open up new opportunities and new way of seeing things for everybody. I think it's so very cool. So I hope that you keep sharing over in our community, because I love seeing all of your posts. I love seeing your feedback on the episodes that have really meant the most to you and the challenges and really what you're getting out of it and the results that it's giving to your life. Now, today is a little bit more action oriented. So the last couple of weeks have been a little bit more where, you're thinking about things and then applying them to your life. And this episode is going to be a bit different. So if you are all about the action, then this episode is certainly for you. Now, here at Your Life Rocks, if you are newer to the show, we generally talk about 8 different areas of life. So we might have a guest expert on that's talking about how to better be a wife or a mom, or to help our kids through challenging times, or maybe focus in on our health or our home, our finances, friendship, our careers, all of these things, right? And honestly, when we're talking about home, we talk a lot about decluttering because, well, it's an issue. I think we all have areas of our houses that we wish were a little bit less decluttered. Now, this is not necessarily a declutter episode. However, you've probably already seen the title, and it's all about cleaning it up. Now, of course, all of the steps and everything that we talk about in this episode, you will be able to find in our free app. It is called Your Life Rocks, and you can find it right in your app store. In fact, even while you're listening to this podcast, if you don't yet have the app downloaded, go and download it from the app store. That way you have it and you can access all of the resources we're talking about in this episode and in all of the episodes of the series. Now, in there, you'll also get access to our free weekly success planning class, as well as the weekly success planning checklist that will really help you up-level your weekly prep. It's not just about food prep, you guys. It is really about setting yourself up for success. Now, if food prep is something that you want to get better at, you want to learn more about, then when you join our Life Balance membership in the month of July, your very first email you're going to get from me is a link to the workshop that we did on meal planning made simple, along with a workbook that will help you meal plan each and every single week as part of your weekly planning. And you can upgrade to Life Balance membership right inside the app, or you can go to lifebalancemembership.com to learn more. So for this episode, as we are talking about cleaning it up, this is not a complete overhaul, declutter your house, have a yard sale kind of an episode. I mean, if that's your thing and you're already neck deep into that, more power to you. But I want to remind you, this series is all about bringing more joy to your life. More joy. If cleaning everything up and decluttering is not an idea that brings you joy, which if you're like a lot of us, it probably doesn't, then that's a pretty good indication that that's not what this is about. But it is kind of. It is kind of. And here's the reason why. When we have a lot of clutter around us, whether it be at work, in our cars, at home, wherever it is, that's like an extra weight. It's a visual reminder of the things that are undone in our lives. Now, a while back, we had a great guest on, and she was talking about closing the loops. For example, if you are getting a glass of water, if you get out a glass from the cabinet, you fill it with water, you drink it, you have to finish the loop. Where are you going to put the glass? In the dishwasher? Are you going to wash it, put it back in the cabinet? It's got to finish the loop. And so many times we get overwhelmed when loops are unfinished in our lives. It could be mail that we opened up and left on the counter and we mean to do something else with it. We didn't close the loop. It could be dishes left in the sink that are unwashed and not put away. That's an unclosed loop. Same thing with laundry. And if you think about it, we're surrounded by these unclosed loops all of the time. And whether we're thinking about it or not thinking about it, it is subconsciously speaking to us and adding things to our to-do list that is already pretty full. And already we're not having a whole lot of time to get done the things that we need to get done. And the main issue with this is that most of the time, we get all or nothing thinking, meaning we have to completely tackle all of the mess around us, or we're not going to tackle any of the mess around us. Like it's almost like opening up a Pandora's box of cleaning that's going to overtake our weekend or overtake our day. And we already have so many other things that we have going on. I mean, it is summertime after all. And I don't know about you, but sometimes on my days off, I like to, relax, do something I enjoy doing. Now, I say that, but I actually really do enjoy throwing things away and cleaning up messes. It's like a de-stressor for me, but sometimes I just want to relax or do something fun with my kids or go camping. And that's what summer is all about, is being able to tap into the season to get the most from it. But I also don't want to leave all of this mess for fall because that's not going to be fun either, right? So today I'm going to walk you through the 3 steps of things that you can do to start to clean it up, to tackle some of this clutter so that you can really experience joy. Because again, it's hard to experience joy when we're looking around at all of the undone stuff that's causing us stress or making us feel like a failure or like we are not capable of keeping a clean spot. Are you ready? Okay. So step number 1. And this step is really important, you guys, because this step is what keeps it from being a takeover of we are decluttering the entire house, okay? Is I want you to just take an inventory of your spaces. And I say spaces because we don't all just be in one spot all day, right? We are at work, we're in our cars, we're in our homes, and even within our homes, we have different spaces that we occupy. So I want you to kind of play through your day, starting with your morning, and take an inventory of your spaces. So obviously you're waking up in your bed. So take that first inventory of your master bedroom, then your master bathroom, then your kitchen or wherever it is that you go next, and kind of go throughout your day and all of the spaces that you occupy. And as you're doing an inventory of these spaces, here's what I want you to think about. Number 1, does that space bring me joy? And maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. And maybe if it doesn't, it has nothing to do with clutter or anything else. So we're not solving all of the world's problems, but this is just a barometer, right? That question, does it bring you joy? And we can look more at that as we move throughout the steps. The second question I want you to ask as you're doing an inventory of these spaces is what is undone? Because again, it's that pressure of the undone that can steal our joy. And so often it is subconscious. We don't even realize it's happening. So do that inventory going throughout all of the spaces throughout your entire day, including your car, including your office space or where you're working, and really think through all of those spaces. Does this bring me joy? And what are the things that are undone? Now, for some of you out there, just this task, just number 1, is going to be a little overwhelming. Now, a few months ago in our monthly group coaching, we had done a workshop all about setting limits for ourselves so we can actually get past some of the blocks that we have. And if you're not yet familiar, in Life Balance membership, every single month we have a new workshop topic where we dive in and we learn new skills. You get worksheets so you can really apply it right into your life. And this particular month, this is what we were talking about, was these limits. And I think that it's important, even if you're not a Life Balance member, where you can go back and rewatch that workbook or rewatch that workshop, or you remember taking that workshop, you can still apply this idea of setting limits for yourself. Because if you think about things like a pendulum, right? Like a pendulum that swings from side to side to side to side. When you're looking at this exercise, for example, one side is going through it too fast and not really taking an inventory of your space. And the other side is overthinking everything and taking too long. And you'll know for yourself, kind of based on your personality and what else is going on, which side that pendulum is going to go to. Now, if you really want to see traction in your life, you need to find that happy medium with that pendulum. Because just going through the surface or completely ignoring the exercise altogether is not going to provide a benefit for you. Now, if the pendulum is swinging to the other side and it's going to take you, 2 weeks just to do step 1 of an inventory of your spaces because you're going through every little detail, Well, that's not going to really benefit you either, right? So you have to find that happy medium to be able to set those limits for yourself. So maybe for you, that limit is simply the joy question is yes or no, and we don't dive into it any deeper than that. And then the question number 2, what are the things undone? You limit yourself to 3. What are the 3 things that are undone in this space? Now, for others of you, it might be 5 things. For some of you, it might be 1 thing. What's the 1 thing that's undone in this space that I noticed right away? What's that most obvious thing? But you got to learn to start setting these limits for yourself in order to be able to successfully apply the things that you're learning and to move yourself forward in where you want to go in your life. So that's number 1. I know that's a really long-winded number 1. Again, you can get all of this inside the resources of the app completely and totally for free. All right. Number 2 is simple. So as you're asking yourself these questions, does it bring me joy? And what are the things that are undone? You can honestly do step number 2 as you're doing the inventory if you want to kind of double up on it and make it easy. Because number 2 is just simply to identify, do I have control over whether this brings me joy or not? Now, of course, the answer is always going to be yes, because we can control our own perspective, even if we can't control the environment that we're in. But really, this question is more about, can we control that environment? Because it could be like your workspace does not bring you joy because of where your office is located. I remember one time I got a new office, which was very exciting, and I was very happy to finally have an office space. An office had just opened up. Unfortunately, it was like the most undesirable office in the entire office building. It was like in a corner, downstairs. I had no windows. It was a big space, but it was just really dark and dreary, and it was not great. But it was the only office that was open. So did the space really give me joy? No, not really. But I could control the perspective that I had on the space and just be grateful for the fact that I had an office and knowing it was just temporary until we moved into our new building that the company was moving into. And then I had a great office. But the whole point here is that there are things that we can control and there's things we can't control. And sometimes we spin our wheels on things that we cannot control. Like it's really outside of our control other than our own perspective and our own thought process around it. And the goal is not to focus on those things, not to let those things eat up our energy, because they will eat up our energy because there's nothing we can do about it. So ask yourself, can I really control this environment? Yes or no? And anything that's a no, just kind of cross it off your list. Like don't scribble it out because you still might want to come back to it later and, I don't know, maybe take a little bit of a deeper dive on what you can actually do to affect those areas and pray about it. Ask the Holy Spirit to guide you in those things. But just put a line through it, because for the sake of this exercise, for the sake of this series where it's all about bringing yourself joy and cleaning it up, we are going to focus in on just one area, one space that you occupy and how you can start to close the loops in that particular area, how you can start to get a few things finished to help bring in more joy so that these are not the things that are weighing you down. So as we move on to step number 3, everything that's left and not crossed off, meaning these are the things that you have a little bit more control over. I again want you to take inventory, but in a different way. I want you to think about your day as you're going throughout your day, as you're occupying these spaces, and really think about which of these spaces, which time of day do you experience the most amount of stress in, the most amount of anxiety, the most amount of worry, the most amount of the train thoughts. And what I mean by train thoughts is like the train starts to go and you can't pull it away. It just keeps going down a path that's hard to stop. So where do those kind of things tend to happen for you? So if the goal is just to pick one area and tackle it, to clean up that space, to close up those loops, pick the one that's going to have the biggest impact on you. Because again, we know looking at the mess, looking at these unfinished things are going to add to your stress. And if this series is all about bringing you more joy, then we need to cut that out, right? So figure out what that one area is for you and then just get busy getting it done. You know, so many times things can be a lot simpler for us to tackle, but we spend so much time procrastinating. We spend so much time thinking about getting it done that if we just went to work getting it done, it would be done before we know it. Now, I want to give you some examples of what these spaces might be, just to help you kind of control that limitation, that all or nothing thinking of I need to completely reorganize my kitchen or whatever it is, which, by the way, we have episodes on that. You can go back through the past catalog and see what those episodes are where we talk about things like that. But I'm talking about it could be that pile of paper on your desk, just the pile of paper, not talking about redoing your filing cabinet or anything like that. It could be a junk drawer in your kitchen that every time you open it up, trying to find something for your kids, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm such a horrible mom. I can't find anything, right? These are those trained thoughts that I talked about that kind of take over and put us down a path of negative thinking that really is not very helpful for any of us. It could be your car. And honestly, these spaces, you guys, they can change all of the time. I know for me, sometimes I go through stages where I don't necessarily care if my car is messy. And then I go through other stages where I really, truly care if my car is messy. And I think a lot of it depends on if like I'm having my kids' friends in my car or coworkers in my car. If other people are going to see my car, then I kind of want it to be a little bit nicer. So whatever that little area, that little space is for you, that's what I want you to get work on cleaning it up. Now, as you're cleaning it up, here are 3 tips for you. Try to touch things only once. Meaning, if it needs to be thrown away, throw it away. Just take a garbage bag with you wherever that space is and just throw it away right away. If it needs to be filed, file it right away. Don't make a file pile to come back to file it later because now you've just replaced the pile you were trying to clean up with another pile. Try to touch things just once. So, for example, if you're cleaning out your car and there are things that need to go inside the house, grab as much of those things that need to go inside the house at once. Don't put them in a bag for you to go through later. Take them into the house and put them away until your hands are empty, and then go back out to the car and keep cleaning again. Tip number 2 is as you're cleaning up the space and you're putting things away, you're putting things in the garbage, I just want you to think about how it even got there in the first place. What are these habits that you have in your life that are keeping things undone? And how can you start to think about behavior changes that could start to close those loops for you? Now, this is easier said than done. I'm not asking you to overhaul your life and redo all of these habits, but just start to be a little bit more aware of our things that we do in our life that keep these loops closed. Because awareness truly is the first step in starting to close these loops, to create new habits in our life. Because when you have these closed loops, when you are able to have some really productive habits in your life, morning routines, work routines, weekend routines, all of these things, right? When we're talking about life balance and we're talking about number 1 is having a relationship with God, number 2 is community and having relationship with others, and number 3 are the systems. These systems that we're talking about, they help you close these loops. They help you keep on top of all of this stuff. And that's why it's so vital to creating balance in your life, because it's not even so much about getting the stuff done. It's about not having the undone stuff that influences your thought process throughout the day. So that's it for this week. It's just about cleaning it up. Just one space that's really going to have the biggest impact on you. Quite simply, that is it. I hope you pop on over to our Facebook community, or you can even share it on Instagram. Send me a DM, share it in your stories. Let me know the space that you are tackling and what it means for you. And I just hope that you get a lot out of the questions that we talked about in this episode to ask yourself, because sometimes those are the things that we breeze on past. And if you're listening to this while you're driving and you're thinking, I'm never going to remember all of those questions, that's totally okay. That's why we put them in the resources inside the app. So make sure you go and check that out. If you already have the app, it would mean the world to me if you would just leave a review in the App Store and share what the app, what the podcast, what any of the courses, how they are benefiting your life, because it really does help other people find the app, find Your Life Rocks and everything that we have to offer. And while you're in the app, I hope that you also check out our lifestyle guide. This is a monthly publication that we put out to help you provide tips and inspiration on all 8 areas of life. Now, because it's summertime, we combined June and July together, but August is coming up and we have some great resources coming for you as we start to close out summer and move back into the school year. Next week, we will be back with week number 6 of our Summer Refresh Challenge. And until then, keep building a life that rocks. Bye. Just because the episode's over doesn't mean that we have to stop hanging out. Of course, you can follow me over on Instagram at your.life.rocks, or hop on over to Facebook, search Your Life Rocks, and find our Facebook community. It is full of working Christian moms just like you, looking to redefine what balance means in their life and take action to make it so. Now, if you are looking for more, if you are ready to go deeper, to really create the systems to bring more balance into your life and help you clear the chaos, I invite you to join Life Balance Membership. You can go to lifebalancemembership.com to learn more, or upgrade right inside of the Your Life Rocks app. You can find that on iTunes or Google Play. Looking for more resources? Head on over to yourliferocks.com.